Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is Natasha Telger, and we are going to start our CBO Technical Assistance webinar today. And so a couple things we're going to cover. First of all, if you haven't already signed in, please do so over on the right-hand side by using the polling question to check in. We do have some updates on the 2151 form and the whole conciliation process information. So I'll put that up in just a moment, give you a chance to check in. And then we're going to talk about some of the upcoming updates to our intake process and how that impacts you. We'll talk about how to report the services and worksite placement, because I saw there was a question from Carmen specifically on how to report services. And then we'll talk about some updates regarding communication. So with that, let me go ahead. And it looks like we have Dee with us. Dee's been on the road today, so I'm happy that she's able to join us. That's a good thing. Let's go ahead and start out with this item. Okay, so let me stretch this out so you can see it here. We'll make it bigger. Okay, so a couple things that came up was we got some points of clarification. One, the 2151 form is used for the initial appointment, and then the 2151A is used to report activity after that initial appointment. After, I think what the clarification needed to come in was on the engagement after engagement. So if the customer stops showing up or they can't be reached, you complete the 2151 form, and some key points that you need to know are you in the client progress box, mark the non-cooperation and conciliation, and then you will have to go through the conciliation process. So one of the things that we have here, I have the URL, and we'll send this out to everybody too, and I'll share my screen in just a moment. You can get this over here. Okay, let me move some stuff over here real quick so I can get to being able to share my screen. Sorry about that. Okay. The URL that is on the screen goes to the DHS website, and on the DHS website they describe the conciliation process. So you can read it. But basically, during this time, it tells you, you have 30 calendar days for the conciliation process. And during this period, there are a couple forms that you need to be aware of, the 2846G and the 3392. We will put those in instructions and provide the links to those so that they're easy for you to access. And then it goes through the whole process of, what is the conciliation and what you need to do, what you need to fill out, and then the reasons for good cause reasons. So we'll make those available to you from the progress page so you can have easy access to that information. Okay? I see some questions coming in the morning. Okay, I see D is already, okay, would you mark if the okay, I see D is going through and answering those questions, so thank you, D. Okay. So then I guess the other key point to note is that for customers active with the CBO and then stops participating, you still complete the conciliation process, and then you, regardless of, if you're unable to contact them or if you've been going through this conciliation process, you still use the 2151A to reflect the outcome. Okay. So we will put that information, we'll make it available Let me go ahead and show you where we'll do this. This is on test, yes. And what we can do is make that information available not only from the partner pages, but we'll make it available here on the right on the progress page. So you'll have that information at your fingertips when you need it. Okay. Let me move my screen out of the way so I can get to the next item, if I can get it out of the way here. All right. Okay. So then the next item that we have is the intake process and those updates. So what we have currently with the with the EPIC application is a person goes to the orientation and then they will complete, they'll watch the videos, they'll tell them what's going to happen, explain the program to them, and then they will review career information, and then they will complete the application, and then they will also complete the NOCD assessment. And one of the things, and then so what happens after that is after, they look at the training programs, they complete not only the application, but then the NOCD assessment, which takes up to 2 hours to complete, then they schedule a follow-up visit, and then they'll talk about, whether there's a training program in their area that is available for them to be potentially assigned to, and then they go through the random assignment process. So that overall process can take 5 to 7 days because we have to wait for 48 hours for the NOCD assessment scores to come in. So what we have proposed, and it's been approved to move forward with, is to remove the NOCD 21st Century Skills from the intake piece of EPIC. And what we'd rather do is use that access to the NOCD 21st Century Skills Assessment really at the end of the process with the CBOs. And so because the NOCD 21st Century Skills covers much more than just, reading, writing, and math. It's all about, workplace skills and so forth. So what we'd like them to do is complete that NOCD 21st Century Skills towards the end of their program, and so they can earn that certificate and put it, with their portfolio, basically, to let everyone know that, they have earned the certificate and they have the knowledge about workplace skills. So what that means for you is, first of all, it's going to significantly reduce the amount of time that's required for the intake process. So we're going to go anywhere from 5 to 7 days down to 4 hours. And what that means, let me zoom out a little bit on my screen here, is that when they come into when they come to orientation, they're still going to go through the process of, reviewing the videos. They're going to take a look at training programs. And one of the things that they're going to do with the training programs, prior to looking at the training programs, they're going to take the CIS Career Cluster Inventory interest survey. And so the results of the skills and interest survey will give them, like a graph that basically says, based on how you responded to the questions in this assessment, maybe hospitality and tourism, or PDL, maybe, or any of those, information technology, whatever the case may be, might be a good match for you based on your skills and interests. And so they can use those results, and then they can come to the training program search, and then they can look at the different training programs, and they can, see, well, is there anything in my area that that's available that matches my skills and interests? And if I choose that, yes, there are something, then I can go ahead and complete the application. And if I decide at that point, no, there's not really anything right, that I'm interested in, then I can go ahead and say I don't want to go any further with the program. So from that point, if they say, yes, I want to go ahead and continue on with the program, then they'll go to the assessments piece, and what they'll do is complete the application. They won't complete the NOCD. They'll complete the application, and the application it still has all the baseline assessments, and we've modified or in the process of modifying the 2 questions that you have already provided feedback on related to the drug question and the background questions. And so we'll take a look at those updates in just a moment. But at that point, they're going to go ahead and complete the application, and then they'll be directed to go to talk to their caseworker. And at that time, they'll review the different options that are available for them, and they will go through the random assignment piece. And if they are assigned to the traditional services, then they'll just go on as business as usual. But if they're assigned to the EPIC services group, then they will be assigned immediately to a CBO and training program. So what does that mean for you? 1, we need to get your input on the baseline assessments because we have updated those questions, or we're in the process of updating those questions. And number 2, you should expect to see a lot more flow of people coming your way because we are reducing the amount of time it takes to get the people through random assignment, as well as the number of meetings, so we don't have as much fallout on losing those people as when they have to come back for the second meeting. So you should expect to see a lot more of those coming real soon. So let me go ahead and go to I have a page open here. I thought I did already. Maybe not. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go to the resources page. So you as a CBO will go to your resources page. So go to the agency tab, select your agency, and then within your training program area, select your training program that you have. And I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit so it's easier for you to see. As we scroll down, you'll see that this says which of these tests are the participants required to pass. So they will have this will change so that you'll still have TB test, hepatitis screening, or this test is not required or screening is not required. What we'll do is we'll remove the drug test section or gray it out so it's not selectable anymore. And then what we've added is this new question. What is the minimum drug test requirement for participants? And this is the test that we, or not test, the question that we have posed previously, to get your feedback on what should these options be. And so how this will work is the people who have already have completed the application that has this type of question will still be using this type of criteria. But anyone that is new or completes the new application will be matched up with this criteria. So there will be a little bit of overlap, but just know that what we'd like to do is release the new application next Wednesday. And so I would ask that you have this information completed by Tuesday. And we have, that's the drug test question. And if you scroll down further, then we have the background question. So we tell you this question will be removed soon. And it's replaced by the next background check question, which again was, we got your feedback during the webinars, and the wording and everything was based on your feedback in previous webinars. And so again, by Tuesday, we ask that you have this question completed, and then we will, again, be using anyone who has an older application prior to Wednesday will be made, the match will be made based on this question, and anyone who uses the new application their match will be based on this second question. Okay. Any questions on that? Let me look at the screen here. Okay. Okay. I missed one important piece of information. The current process has DHS Commerce and a DHS caseworker that currently reviews the process. Reviews the eligibility information and then makes a recommendation. And what that will be changed to is the DHS caseworker will now be the person that makes the recommendation. Okay, and one of the areas that we also, as another level, for those training programs that say that you cannot be have a sexual offense, be a sexual offender, we are going to be adding a modal window, a pop-up, a reminder to have the caseworker check the Family Watchdog site and just to make sure that that person's name does not appear on the list. Okay, so I just showed you that you go to resources, agency, you probably only have one there, your training programs, you select the training program, and then you'll scroll down to, it's thinking here, am I not selected? And then you'll scroll, oh here it is. You'll scroll down to see the drug question and the background check question. This will be available for you tomorrow. So we ask that between tomorrow and Tuesday you answer those two questions. Really, really appreciate it. Okay, so since we're in the process of talking about the intake process and some of the changes that we're making, and again, the idea is to expedite that process, to get the people through that process, but for a couple reasons. One, just to get them into the training program sooner, but then also so we minimize the loss of people because they have to go to two different appointments. And then, but what we want to make sure that we're not doing is starting to make bad referrals. So we don't feel that that's going to be the case, that there'll be any bad referrals by by changing this. But we did have a suggestion, and by one of the staff, to add some of the questions that are already asked by DHS, and they use some of these questions as a not to diagnose a learning disability, but to just make a referral that they might potentially have a learning disability and might need some additional assistance. And so what we were going to ask you, are any of these questions, do you think that any of these questions would be helpful in identifying a person that requires remediation? And what we want to do is know, would any of these questions be helpful in making sure that we make a good referral, so that if it's really clear that a person needs a bridge program, that we make sure that they go to a location that offers a bridge program. So if you think that they would be good, and we should include them in the application to help make a good referral, then let me know. And I guess I didn't give you an option to say none of the above, but if you feel that none of the above are helpful, then just include that in the chat. I'll give you a moment to go ahead and do that. Okay. Let me look at the questions here real quick before we. Okay. Okay. So one of the questions from Emily, how will DHS then assess the education levels without the NOCD? We have a question on there that's a good question. We have a question on the application, and it asks, there's all these different levels, anywhere from, I think, none to first, second, third, all the way through, and to like doctorate and other certificates or something like that. So we have it set up so that if a person indicates that they do not have a GED or anything lower than that, or if they don't at least have a GED, then they are automatically referred to a program that offers a bridge program. Then if they have a GED or high school education or higher, then they can go to any training programs whether or not they do or don't have a bridge program. I'm going to add another layer of complexity to this that I want to, but it did come up whenever we were in Chicago with some of the CBOs, so I'm just going to go ahead and go there. Let me get to the right place on this planning document. I can show you. Okay, so we have the highest level of education completed. So a customer can be aligned, okay, anyone can be, so a customer who can be aligned to bridge programs that offer, or sorry, customers who can be aligned to programs that offer bridge program. Anyone can be referred to those programs as long as they meet the other baseline requirements. Customers that who can be aligned to a program that requires a 6th grade reading level and that does not offer a bridge program, then what that means is that we have to say that you have to have earned a high school diploma or a GED and meet the other baseline requirements. So before, okay, I hope I'm probably confusing you here. Before it was just a yes, no. Do you offer a bridge program? Yes, or no, I don't offer a bridge program. If you offered a bridge program, then you could have anybody, whether they scored high or low in the NOCD, it didn't matter because you offered a bridge program. If you didn't offer a bridge program, then the system would check to say, oh, well, you have to have a high school diploma, GED, high school equivalency, or higher, and score decently on the NOCD. Then we would offer, those programs to anyone. But there is a subset of those training programs that may only that require less than a 6th grade reading level, and they don't offer a bridge program. So the system will now look at the people that anyone can be referred to that program as long as if the program says that I require less than a 6th grade reading level and math level, and I don't offer a bridge program, anyone can be referred to those programs as well, as long as they meet the other baseline requirements. But I think that sounds really confusing. I don't know. When I say it, it sounds really confusing. But what it really does is it's the same way we had it before. It just opens it up more because some of the training programs don't necessarily require a 6th grade reading level in order to get in that program. So Emily, does that answer your question?
Hey, Natasha, this is Tammy. If you don't mind, I'm going to interject too. we're hearing, different cases across the board with SNAP recipients. There's been cases of somebody that maybe has a higher education level, but because of some maybe trauma in their life, they didn't, they went to a CBO and didn't score well, and even on a TABE test. So, they were maybe like, be even below a 2 on a TABE test, but they have desire to work. And so, in some cases, individuals may not be suited for a classroom-style training, and they're more suited towards work experience. So one of the things I know we've talked about, we want to be very cautious of not letting people into the program that have the desire to work also, but just aren't scoring high. So the way this program has been designed is, bridge programs were strongly recommended that we need to be able to serve those people that are, below an 8th grade reading and math level. We need to be able to bring them up. We need to be able to provide adult basic education for individuals that need to get their GED or high school equivalency. We need to be able to provide career and technical education for the entry-level skill set so they can access a career pathway within an industry sector. And then we need to be able to continue them on that track and have stackable credentials and then, even college credit hours so that they can, grow in that career pathway. And then the final one is if, somebody is just not suitable for, a structured academic type setting, that at minimum you need to provide work readiness and work experience for these clients and help them to get into a job of interest to them that they can potentially hopefully become self-sufficient. So there's a lot of different nets that we're trying to develop in this program because we know the population is all across the board. There's some that are very capable, that are going to, excel in training. There's some that are not. So, that's the way the program was designed. And in areas outside Chicago, when we have just one CBO, it's easier for them to move, around between different programs if we have to actually align them with different sectors. But, that's how our program's designed. So, we've really been toying around with these questions on academic levels because most of the CBOs, if you require a TABE test, you're doing them anyway. To figure out what their levels are. And like I said, once again, like Natasha said, there are some programs that don't necessarily technically have a bridge program, but can take people that have a lower reading level. So we want to make sure we're not, restricting individuals, especially those that have desire, and that would be very good candidates for this program, not to get in just because of, deficiency potentially in their reading and math. So I hope that makes sense.
Right. So it's opening up. We might have been previously, there are sub-customers that would have been a good match for some programs if you didn't require a higher reading level and you didn't offer a bridge program. We might not have been making that connection. But now I see that Judith said we're not getting new referrals. This process, you should expect to see, this to start happening a lot faster, because it shouldn't take as much time to actually get through the intake process. Okay?
Yeah, I'm looking at Eric's. It's a perfect example of where, even their environment could make a difference in how they score on their TABE tests. So, and, some of the conversation we've had with some providers is that, they're doing a NOTS key and then they're coming to you and they're saying, well, I already did an assessment test. I spent 2 hours on this test. Why are you testing me again? So the value added on the NOTS key just wasn't there. We still want to try and make those good referrals to you guys, and we're putting a more emphasis on sector, on their area of interest. To make sure that we're giving them time on the front side to really evaluate where, what kind of training do I want to go into, and that's, that I can get into based upon my restrictions, like if I don't have a driver's license or if I've got a felony or if I've, got a drug problem, what's restricted to me on those. And then the English and math, we're assessing on that too, once again, based upon, GED or, higher education.
Okay. So I guess I want to get your comfort level on the information that we covered. So if you could just raise your hand, does the level of the education level and how that's going to be, making the recommendations to the different training programs. Does that make sense? You could just raise your hand if it's yes. Okay. So there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's still a bunch of you that it's not really making sense here. So I'm going to do this. I know for those of you, I know there's quite a few that it does make sense. So I'm just going to do one last thing just to hopefully drive it home, clarify. Here's the deal. We look at a training program. What you say right now is that it's a simply yes or no. If you say that you offer a training program, that means like everybody, anybody, it doesn't really matter as long as they meet the other baseline requirements, can come to you. If you say no, I don't have a training program right now, only the people that have a high school diploma or high school equivalency and higher and score well on the NOCTI could go to you. Here's the difference. If you say no, I don't have with the update, when it says no, I don't have a bridge program, now the difference is it's going to be as long as you have a high school diploma, then you can go to this. You can go to this. You can go to this program. If you say no, I don't have a bridge program, but I also I don't require a 6th grade reading level or higher, then we're going to open it up and say, okay, there's no real minimum requirement here. You can have less than a GED, and you could still go to this program. So again, it's opening that up. Okay, so we are making those updates. What you're looking at on my screen right now is on tests. Tomorrow, the 23rd, these new questions will be available for you. So you're going to go to Resources, Agency, you're going to select your agency, and you're going to complete this question on the drug test as well as the background information, and that we need to have those by next Tuesday, because on Wednesday we're planning on releasing the new application. Okay, so that's the update on that. As I go through here, I see Gwen has a question about financial reporting. We'll be talking more about the financial side of that next week. Daryl had a question, will the CBO be giving the NOCTI? Yes, all of our Illinois WorkNet partners have access to the NOCTI, so you could get that as part of your program. We're not getting referrals. Hopefully, that will change, Judith. How will DHS determine EPIC career choices? So that's a good question, Daryl. The career choices, let me go into, again, I'm on test, but you can see what we already have here. Oops, go to profile here. Hold on, let me use the dashboard. Get somebody that's ready to be looked at. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm logged in on test, but I'm logged in as a CBO. So let me go to the intake dashboard so you can see what a DHS person sees. Okay, so we have people that are ready for review. Let me take a look at some of these people. So currently, they have access, the system will take a look at different baseline requirements. And some of the baseline requirements include, industry, bridge program, and these different tests, background check, and all that kind of good stuff. So in the application, the person can select up to 3 industries. That's the way it is, and that's the way it's going to stay. With the application, it can select up to 3 industries. We're not changing that. And then based on the matches that the system sees, based on how they answer the questions in the application, the system will generate a list of potential training programs for that person. So as I sit down with a caseworker, they can say, oh, well, let's go back and look at your application. I see that, yes, hospitality is your first choice, and there are some options here. Let's go ahead and take a look at these. And they can look at the information. They can see how long the training program is, how it's accessible, how far away it is, and that's important for some locations. And then they can say, oh, well, I'm interested in doing hospitality, apprenticeship. Great. So then they'll go through the random assignment process, and then if they are put into the treatment group or the EPIC services group, then they will be assigned to that particular location. One of the things that we're adding in is a piece, but it's further before the application piece, and that's where we're adding in the CIS interest inventories, and it's more of a tool to help the customer with understanding, giving them a starting point. So whenever I come to a page and where I look at the different training programs, if I have that page up still. So whenever I come to that page, I don't have it up, sorry. Whenever I go to that page to search for different training programs, I can have a starting point. Well, my top 3 industries were hospitality and business and PDO. I could look at those top 3 choices and make that decision prior to ever completing my application. Okay. Okay, let me just looking down here. Okay. So it looks like we're through some of those questions. There's quite a bit going on here. Are these the only options for drugs, for example? Yeah. Right. Well, the questions that we have so far that were, Mary Beth, the ones that are in the ones I had showed you were the ones that we got like the feedback on from the webinars. So okay, with learning. Okay, so we do have a client with learning disability. Okay. Okay. For the 21, Eric, you had a question about uploading the 2151 on LMI WorkNet, but the option to enroll the participant was not available. Did you use the form and what you have to do is use 2151 form and then fill it out, like using the Adobe Reader, and then whenever you upload it to the system, it has to be, let me go to that page. You use this first button, so you download the 2151 form, and you upload. Then you select the appropriate options, and then you have to re-upload it. Go ahead and open. So in order to enroll them into the program, then you need to either select that the client assessment was completed or the client services initiated, and save it and upload it back into the system. And then once that is uploaded, then it will unlock the option to enroll the person in the program. Okay. Okay, I'm just reading through the chat. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. This is a conversation about the questions. Sorry, I'm just going through these. Okay. Why are the time? Okay. So I see, why are the 2151 forms not being signed for the initial appointment? And I believe the 2151, correct me if I'm wrong, form, from my understanding, is they only needed it to be signed if they were releasing the, providing consent to release these documents from other organizations. And if you need to have that signed, again, we have to be able to pick up on something in the system, and that's how to automatically update the dashboard with the correct information and making sure that the uploaded forms and the data in the dashboard match. That's why we have you do it in Reader and upload it. If you have to have a signed form, we have provided a button here where you can upload the signed form as well. Yes, they only need to sign it if they're releasing the information to the CBO. Okay, I spent a lot of time on that. Okay, one of the other really big items that we need to talk about is the using personal identifiable information in email. And so we can't include first name, last name, Social Security, or any of that information in email. And so we have a change that should be going out tonight on the messages that are coming from Illinois WorkNet. And that, instead of saying, I can't remember, eligibility regarding Natasha Telger, it'll say, eligibility for customer 123456. And that is the other participant ID. So we want to make sure that we're very careful with that information. And so what I've done here is I'm logged in as I believe I'm logged in as a CBO right now. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to my Illinois WorkNet messages. And this is an example of what you can see for a message that was sent using the Epic tools. Epic comment for 8126. And that's the other participant's ID. So you can see that I sent a test one from the iStep. This is a comment message for 8126. It's nicer to be able to, just easily reference a person's name in a message or an email, but we do have to make sure that we're protecting that information. And so that change will be going out, like I said, hopefully that change will go out tonight. And those are regarding the automatic messages that are coming from Illinois WorkNet. So let me go to the customer. I do have it here. So you can see I had sent the email or message out using a case note, and this is what it looks like when it comes in as a case note. Okay. Okay. So then the other piece of information that a person had asked about is, where do you report any services or record any services that a person has, and supportive services, I should be more clear on that. And so we do have a tool in the iStep, and we had updated this. It's the personal development piece. Before, we had an area where you could add referrals, and what we did was we just added this as like a next step area just to be consistent with the other areas, that the career planning and academic technical areas. And we went ahead and preloaded some. It says add steps, so you can see that in this particular example, I already have a step for drug treatment referral. We have low-cost legal services, utility assistance, food pantry, healthcare referral, housing, transportation, car repairs, child care assistance, disability impairment. So you can, select these different services or steps and add them to the I-step. And you can click edit. If it makes sense, you can go ahead and click, open, or, scheduled. You can put like the start and end date when they should go to that. You can put any notes in here. So, if it's, go see Natasha and say it's required or recommended, you can put the dollar value and hit save. And you'll see that there's in a notes section it says, whatever you type in there. I put go see Natasha. So you can enter your supportive services in the personal development section in the I-step. Now, there was a question specifically on where are there any other forms. Tammy, is there anything specifically that they need to know about that other than entering it into this section of the I-step?
There is a service form, like if you're providing services that's in the manual that they can use for the client file. So if they're keeping paper files, they can use that. But I strongly recommend that you document your service. So as if you're doing, transportation, document it in their I-step so you have everything in one area.
Okay. If a customer says they have a mental health issues, are we allowed to document that, what they say about that in their condition if we do not have medical documentation yet? Tammy, do you know the answer to that? Is it just, I would assume it's okay to put it in their case notes if they're saying that, even though they don't have medical documentation?
Medical documentations. Yeah, I'd be sensitive as to what you're putting in the case notes with that. But yeah, you can document that in the case notes as a client, indicates they have these specific concerns or issues.
Okay. Go ahead and hide this. Get back to our list here. Okay, so the only other thing that I haven't covered yet is the worksite placement. And we were working on worksite placement, but then we transitioned back to the intake piece. As soon as this gets out early next week, we will be going back to working on the worksite placement. And I know that some of you already have customers that are in the worksite placement. So I'm just going to kind of give you a heads up as what we're planning on doing. And what we're going to do, we'll provide you a kind of like a temporary or a holding place, I don't know what you want to call it, temporary solution until that piece is put into place, into production. The plan is to go into your resources in your agency section, under your agency. We'll have you'll have your training, agency details, training program schedule. So this is like your baseline assessment. This is your calendar. We'll add another piece here, and that will be worksite placements. And so until we, just as a place to hold that information, we'll be providing you with tools that can help you identify the time period that they are at that place, or that you're reporting for. That will give you an Excel document, and it'll have, like their WorkNet ID, participant ID, first name, last name. They'll have a space for you to fill in the work site, and then the time frame for which that you're reporting on, and then the number of hours and the wages that were paid. So that's coming. And so I would hope that we will have that available to you, at least to have on test, if not on production, and made available to you by next Wednesday, so we could show that to you next Wednesday. Okay, so the question was, in agencies, you don't have a where you can click on agencies? Okay. Well, I'm in test right now. I'm logged in as a CBO. And so I will, after this webinar, I'll get into production and log in as one of the CBO logins. And, you know, I'll make my programmers know that. Okay. But obviously, several people have the same issue, so I'll make sure that they take care of that. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for your feedback. And we'll go ahead and I'll make sure that the agency link is out there for everyone for tomorrow. Hopefully those 2 questions will be out there so you can access them from your agency link and answer those 2 new questions. And then if you have any other questions or if you have any trouble with uploading a 2151 form or anything else, go ahead and just send them to the epic@illinoisworknet.com. Thank you very much.